What is up, Square Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. And today, we're coming at you live from the mobile command center. It's been a while since I've done a video in here, but summer is upon us. It's my busiest time of year, at work and stuff like that. So it's a lot harder for me to make videos in a quiet space. I just kind of have to get my ideas out on the fly before I completely lose them. So we're going to be revisiting the mobile command center a little bit this summer. So with that being said, I know it's been a while since I've posted, especially Dragon Ball content. For those of you who haven't noticed, I've started dabbling a little bit in Digimon as well. The way the upload schedule is going to go is Monday and Tuesday will be Digimon, Thursday and Friday will be Dragon Ball. We're still going to stream locals for both games. And Wednesday, we're going to be doing something special. My co-host from the Four Corners podcast, Matt Manning, we've already talked about a couple things that we're going to try differently, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. You'll have to tune in next Wednesday for that. So with all that housekeeping out of the way, today's topic is a little... it could be controversial. It's definitely going to be very divisive. I've been having a lot of different conversations with a lot of friends, a lot of different players in the community, and I just kind of wanted to address the overall state of Dragon Ball Super, the card game, in recent situations. Obviously, we have our new set coming out this week, so happy release week to everybody. Bless your pulls. Hopefully, you guys get everything that you want to get. But moving forward, there's a lot of interesting things happening moving forward. This is our last set in the Unison Warrior block, which, thank God, because in my personal opinion, I feel like the Unison Warrior block has gone on longer than it should. The initial set for Unison Warrior was set 10, and we're now in set 17. It's been over a year since we've been in this block, and it's never been like that. Dragon Ball has always kind of done different blocks, within 3 or 4 sets. So, you usually get 3 different blocks a year. I mean, I remember when they first introduced the Overrealm block back in set 3, that went on for about 3 blocks before they introduced Wish. So I think Bandai needs to get back to that a little bit. I think there's definitely some feelings of staleness in the game. There are some other, players and prominent content creators who have taken a break as well and are, experimenting with other games. There's a lot to look forward to on the horizon. I mean, if you're looking under the Bandai umbrella just on its own, we have Digimon, we have Dragon Ball, we have the One Piece card game coming out this winter, which I know there's a lot of excitement for. So Bandai itself, as a company, as a developer of a trading card game, is doing very well. But when it comes to keeping things fresh, I think Dragon Ball always did a good job of introducing new mechanics, new shiny tools to use, some support for legacy decks and stuff like that as the sets went on. I know for a while there, when you were looking at sets 3, 4, and 5, there was a lot of, unsettling conversations in the community about maybe Bandai is introducing too many mechanics too quickly. And they've definitely teetered off since then. I mean, since the game's iteration, we've had, Unisons, we've had Barrier, we've had Deflect, we've had interesting mechanics like Wish, we've had alternative awakening conditions, we've had Surge, we've had Revive, but for the most part, there hasn't really been a lot of new game mechanics introduced into the game. So I'm not saying that it's impossible to keep the game fresh without introducing new mechanics, but there's definitely has to be some types of tweaks going towards that, which obviously there has been with different decks and how their strategies work, and just kind of, narrowing it down to specific strategies and how decks are played, kind of locking it to specific archetypes or leaders or whatnot. So there's definitely been adjustments that way. But overall, quality of life type thing with the game as a whole, there hasn't been a lot of introduction of new mechanics since the Unison Warrior block. So looking forward into the next set with the Z leaders is definitely something that I am looking forward to. I think it'll give the game a nice fresh facelift, which I think is what we need. I think it's going to be a good jumping on point for newer players, in the introduction of a newer block. And I think that's kind of where we lost a little bit of the gusto here with Dragon Ball. I feel like the Unison Warrior block did go a lot longer than originally intended. I mean, there's a lot of reasonings. There could be a lot of reasons for that. Maybe the pandemic had a lot to do with it. Maybe the creative team just kind of didn't really have anything in the pipeline that they were planning on doing to extend the game. There's a lot of different speculations that could be had. There's a lot of different conversations that you can have. But for the most part, in my professional opinion, and let me know in the comments down below if you agree, I feel like the Unison Warrior block has gone on a little longer than it should. I'm not complaining about the block at all. I think it was great for the game. I think Unisons and the introduction of free counterplays, depending on what your Unison state was, I think that was really nice because it's adding a layer of interaction into the game that we didn't really have before. Initially, I think Unisons were a little too overpowered because there was a lot of inability to interact with them, but I think now we're kind of at a sweet spot on Unison and Unison prevention and interactions and stuff like that. With that being said, moving into the next block, there's always gonna be a conversation about rotation, right? There's always going to be that conversation about, oh, you know, Dragon Ball is going into its 18th set. You know, it has all these different cards. It has cards that do similar things. You know, I think they would benefit from introducing a rotation. And I used to be of that mindset. However, I don't necessarily agree with it anymore because of what has been trending recently with major events or just events in general. As we've seen recently, an event was announced for Dragon Ball Super where they're going to be having a Unison Warrior block event. And I think moving forward, I think Bandai would benefit from doing something similar to how Magic does their formats. Magic the Gathering is probably, in my opinion, the game that you can most easily directly compare to Dragon Ball Super. It's very similar mechanics. It's a resource-based game. You have to pay something to do X. You know, it's just, it's as close to Magic as you can get without it being Magic, in my opinion. And Magic has been around for 30 years, so they've kind of cracked the code on how to be a successful trading card game and maintaining that spot. But Magic has introduced a lot of different formats, a lot of different ways to play the game. You know, they have Commander, which is probably their most popular format. They have Pioneer, they have Pauper, they have Modern, they have Standard, they have Vintage. They have all these different formats, which you know, allows them to access huge numbers of cards in the entire card pool. And I think we're at the point where Bandai can start experimenting with that. Now, I don't want to say rotation in general, because if you rotate out a block, like for example, if they were going to go into this new Z Leader block and they were going to rotate out the previous block, so that's the Unison Warrior block. You're talking about what, 9 or 10 sets or 7 or 8 sets that you're rotating out. That's gonna make a huge impact on the availability of, you know, cards in the format. So I think either what's going to happen or what they should consider is making these dual formats like a permanent introduction into the game. So moving forward, you know, they can offer you like a standard format where you play whatever cards you want. Yeah, obviously you have to abide by the ban list, but you play whatever cards you want. You can build your deck however you want to build it. You have access to the entire card pool. You have access to all the sets, and you can do it that way. And then I think they can also introduce a rotation, not a rotation, but a block-based format. So, for example, moving into the next set, obviously we're going to get a new mechanic. We're getting a new block with Z Leader. That's going to be your taking off point for that new mechanic, that new set, whatever that ends up being. So you're going to focus on a standard format with all of the card pool as a whole. But then if you wanted to do a sub format where it's block based, you can do just a Unison Warrior format, similar to what they're doing now for these events. You know, if players want to play specific formats, if they want to play with a specific card pool available to them, they'll have that option. If they want to play with an open binder, if they want to play with every single card available in the game, they'll have that option as well. And then as the game continues to grow and continues to expand, and you start getting more and more blocks into the formats, you can start kind of making rotations in and out, similar to what Magic does with Standard and Modern. So I don't think we have to hit the panic button just yet. And if they announce some type of a rotation, I don't think they would do that, because the game is still fairly young. We're going on its 5th anniversary this July, so it's only been out for about 5 years, but we've come to the point where the card pool is extensive enough, the player base is extensive enough to start branching out and looking at different things. I would love to see a Commander based Dragon Ball format. And for those of you who don't follow Magic the Gathering, Commander is essentially a format where you have your commander or your leader, and your deck is consisted of 100 cards, all one-ofs. There's no multiple copies of anything, unless in Magic, obviously, you have to play lands, which is your resource pool, so you have to play that. But every other card in the deck is just a one-of. So in Dragon Ball, I think it would be interesting, because I think the card pool is big enough to do that now, where you can do like a singleton format or a singularity format, where you choose a leader and you build a deck of 100 cards around that leader, but you can't have more than one copy of any card at a time. I think that would be really interesting to see. I think, you know, obviously we have to leave it up to the player base to voice these types of opinions, voice these types of suggestions, for Bandai to kind of, you know, see that and take that into consideration, because they definitely do listen to the community. So, you know, a long time ago when World Martial Arts Tournament first came out, and I think I've had this discussion with plenty of people, and they introduced Hidden Power E Supreme Kai, I thought that was going to be the first time they started a rotation. Because Hidden Power E Supreme Kai, though it's a different card from Furthering Destruction Champa, it essentially does the same thing. So I thought they were going to start rotating stuff out. And then once they started printing very similar cards in the same colors, like, you know, 1-drop cantrips, or 1-drop, you know, activate auto on attack, take a life for double strike or critical, I thought they were going to start, you know, rotating stuff out, because that's what popular games like Pokemon do, but it never happened. But I think we're at the point now where we could start experimenting with different things. I love building decks, and I also love the challenge of building decks under a certain restriction. So I wouldn't mind, you know, dabbling in a Unison Warrior only format and seeing how efficient I could build a deck within that format, and just kind of, you know, compete against all the other ideas that are present. But I also like the ability of, you know, having an open card pool and building to my heart's content. So I just kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there. I know that I haven't been playing the game a lot recently. I've been doing a lot of other things. Obviously, you know, I'm expecting another child very soon, so it's going to get busy at home. It's been very busy at work, but we're going to keep an eye on everything. I'm going to keep my finger on the pulse as much as I possibly can. I still love playing Dragon Ball Super. It's definitely my favorite card game that I've ever played. But I will say that Set 17 Ultimate Squad, to me personally, was a little underwhelming. I'm excited for the introduction of newer archetypes. I'm excited for the support of legacy archetypes like the GTs and the Machine Mutants. I'm excited for stuff like that. But me personally, on a personal level, I wasn't very, you know, I didn't gravitate towards anything specifically to play out of this set. So I'm okay with just kind of playing what I've been playing. You know, at the end of the day, I just want to go have fun, you know, sit across the table, play with the boys. It's not that, you know, it's not that much of a sweaty competitive atmosphere for me on a personal level. Obviously, if we were going to a major event or a regional or something like that, totally different. But for me, going to locals, I want to get back to my roots, which is just having fun, playing janky decks, you know, having a positive experience, not only with myself, but, you know, with my opponent across the table. So with that being said, we're going to get on out of here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.